So as Slava mentioned, my name is Russell Page. I'm the business owner for the loads parts of AssetWise Solutions. I've also got Paul Sheedy with me today, and also we have Panu Viduris, who's going to be doing some of the presentation as well. So just to kick off with, so today's presentation we're going to be talking about linear network management and some of the new capabilities that we've just added into the AssetWise ALIM capabilities. What I'm going to do to start off with is give you some background so you can understand how this fits into the AssetWise portfolio. So from a point of view of AssetWise itself, from a Bentley point of view, one of the differentiators for us is that many of you know us from the design aspects of infrastructure. And what AssetWise does is it moves us also now into the operational and the planning aspects. So right now, from an AssetWise lifecycle perspective, we're going to show you today some of the network management capabilities from the planning aspects, how these interface into the design, right through to construction, and then finally the operation aspects of asset lifecycle information management. And we believe that this, combined with reality modeling, puts Bentley into a unique position in the marketplace to provide you with the solutions to perform asset lifecycle management. So in terms of the Tech Talk agenda today, just to give you a brief agenda, first of all, I'd like to introduce you to AssetWise so you understand how the network management capabilities that we're going to talk today fit into the portfolio. We're going to talk briefly about why we believe that linear network management is important from a business perspective. We're going to provide you with demonstrations of the new AssetWise ALIM linear network management. So Pano will be giving some live demonstrations. And then we're going to talk about the effective tools that are part of the solution to support regulatory reporting like HMS reporting and some of the things that we're doing for Arnold now for network loading. Then we'll be just showing you some examples of some integration with reality modeling. These are the next steps that we're taking. So being able to use 3D modeling during the inspection process with context capture, and then being able to use design information to pass that through to concept station for conceptual modeling of the network, and then also using Asbuilt information to update the linear network afterwards. And then finally, I'll leave you with some closing thoughts and obviously take some questions from you. So first of all, an introduction to AssetWise. So many of you have probably heard of AssetWise, and we've been obviously sort of doing presentations on this for some time now. But for those of you that are new to AssetWise, AssetWise provides the operational aspects of lifecycle asset management, and we've broken it down into a number of capability areas. So these are the capabilities, and I'll just talk about each of these briefly. So first of all, there's the Asset Lifecycle Information Management. So in this presentation, you'll hear that referred to as ALIM. And ALIM provides the the asset registry capabilities. It provides the linear network management that we're going to talk about today, document control and records management, and also configuration and change management. So this is really the information aspects of asset management and sits at the core of AssetWise. The next component is AssetWise reliability, and this is then the inspection processes. So AssetWise itself now has inspection capabilities, the ability to raise defects against those assets as well, and recording the conditions. Compliance and safety provides a number of capabilities, but from a DOT or from a road network perspective, this is where the permitting and routing capabilities for oversize, overweight requirements are managed. There's operational analytics, and we'll be talking about part of this today. This is where we do the HMS reporting from. So this is dashboards, analytical capabilities against all of the information either within AssetWise and also externally to AssetWise. And then there's enterprise interoperability, and one of the important things is that we recognize that not all of your information is always going to be in the AssetWise suite or any of the Bentley design suites. So the ability to be able to interoperate with other applications, so these may be your enterprise resource applications, it may be your crash management systems where you're storing information that you need to report against for HMS reporting. So moving then on to the next aspect, which is linear network management as a business. So this is just really from a perspective of From the Bentley view, the way that we've approached linear network management is that we treat the business first. We believe that managing the business data is the most important aspect of managing the road network capabilities, and then also being able to manage all the geometries as part of that, but ensuring that the business data remains consistent and updated as we go through there. So from our perspective, we believe that the linear network management is about location management. That's what linear network capabilities are. So this means being able to integrate data across the enterprise, and you'll hear about how we've done this with organizations or DOTs like Oregon DOT to support their HPMS reporting. It means that we need to be able to maintain a history. That's how we're going to do the asset performance as we move through the life cycle. It means being able to dynamically segment and analyze complex data. Those of you that do HPMS reporting know that that's extremely important. It needs to be able to support operations both geographically and operationally. So being able to know that we have certain assets in certain maintenance areas, certain political areas as well. And it also needs to provide decision support, so using those capabilities to do corridor management and also hotspots for crash reporting. And then finally, it needs to deliver regulatory reporting like HPMS. So you're going to see from the presentation today, we take a very much a business perspective of network management. So we believe that it needs to work with business data as we're updating the network. It needs to update the business data seamlessly. And we also believe that the business processes should be driving the way that we manage our network maintenance. So we're going to give you some demonstrations of the linear network shortly. So just to give you some background of the linear network management capabilities, what you're seeing today is new capabilities in terms of the user interface, but just wanted to point out that what's in the background, the engine, the linear referencing engine that we're using, is built on a time-proven solution. It's been enhanced and has grown and matured over the past 20 years. So it has extensive global implementations. We have over 40 implementations of this in Europe. We have implementations throughout North America, India and Asia Pacific and Australia as well. So this is a time-proven solution, although it's fairly new, the user interface that we're showing you today. So that means it's got a high degree of functional maturity, and that's important from an age point of view, but it's also important from a global perspective. So our solution has capabilities that have been requested around the globe and are then made available to everyone in a single solution. It supports numerous linear referencing methods, including NCHRP 2027, and it also provides advanced functionality that Pano and Paul are going to be talking about, including capabilities like distance gaps and circular routes. So the other aspect as well that's very important is that I'm talking a lot about the business data, making sure the business data remains consistent. But it's also important from a GIS or a spatial perspective that the tool you're going to see today is enabling us to manage the centerline geometry of the road network. But we also recognize that the GIS plays an important part in this. So one of the things, going back to the AssetWise interoperability that I talked about earlier, is that all of the information is stored in Oracle spatial tables, which means that it's accessible from a GIS perspective. So our objective has always been from day one is to make sure that while we're managing and focusing on the business aspects of linear network management, we're also making sure that the spatial information is available from a GIS perspective. So from an enterprise point of view, that information can be shared and used by the GIS community in your organizations and shared amongst all of your users in your organization. So it's very important to us is this interoperability, that we're trying to give you the best of both worlds, the business perspective and the GIS perspective. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand over to Pano Voudouris, and he's going to talk through these presentations of the AssetWise ALIM linear referencing interface. Okay, Pano?
Thanks, Russell.
Whoops, sorry.
Good morning, afternoon all. Right, if you just started. Okay, so this is your map. What we're trying, let me start the video, okay? So what you see here is the map, and this is the environment that you're going to use for all your asset and network editing. We try to keep it as clean and as uncluttered as possible. You see now the toolbar there, which is just business-driven menus, and you got the simple tools that you would expect for any web map. Okay, and what is on your map is with blue lines is your centerline data, and the red is the highway route, I should say. If you go to your classic navigation tools, like your zoom in and zoom out, right? We're here. Okay. So classic navigation tools, zoom and pan and selection tools. We can also go to. You can see that on the top right you can zoom to extend. You also got the map layer control tool. This is where you control all your layers. If you see that, this is all the available layers that you got, and it depending on where you got, if you got permissions to view them. Okay, and you can see that it's your classic legend layer control, where you can see the legend, change the transparency, and you also got background layers. What we see here is got OpenStreetMap, and you can change the transparency of that. You can obviously move the layer order up and down, changing here to the tone and light map. And as I said, it's all about the permissions you got access to, and we also provide print options with just a simple print where you can select your different paper size, DPIs, and scale, add in a title and a description maybe, and then it will that will provide a simple PDF map. Let's do that now. Okay, so far it's basically what you would expect from your classic web map interface, right? We got masses of tools. All right, this is your printing tab. Now there are massive of editing tools, and so where are all these? Now the next bit that I want to show you is about editing. Okay, so network editing again, and it all starts from the same environment and from that little pencil icon there. Okay, so I click on the pencil icon, I select the layer I can edit if I have permissions, and I've got three tools now. I've got the create one, the create, trace, or edit. So right now I'm creating something happened in the video. So I'm selecting my datum layer, and I'm going to now to create digitize a new datum, a new center line. So you can see that I snapped an existing node, an existing center line node, and as per normal as you would expect, click, 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 and you just double click to create the datum. Now, again, one thing I want to point out is that all the attributes that you see here are user definable. Okay, and if you see that the length, I can see that the length has been defaulted to the map length. Now, that again, the units of that map length, you can change that, and the units are set in the metadata, and you can set the accuracy and the precision to whatever your requirements are. Okay, and then I enter the attributes and create my new datum. Now, another thing I can do, it's all context driven. Okay, so I click and select the datum, and it just displays the available options I have, and I select splitted measure. Okay, so I click on the datum, select on splitted measure. The splitted measure dialog popped up. So I can, again, the attributes that are here are user definable. Okay, it will ask me for the attributes of the two datums. Click on split, and I've got the two new datums now. Okay. So another option is reshape. Again, from the context menu, click on reshape. Okay, I won't go into the different tools that we got. We got the different options, but to say that I just want to move a few vertices around. So I click on that. If you see there is a replace and recalibrate as well. So at the same time I do a reshape, I can also choose to change the length. Okay, or I can replace, means that it will just end that date and create a new one. Okay, if I want to do that now, I'll just do a simple geometry reshape. Click on reshape, and my datum got reshaped. Okay, then I've got a merge. Again, the opposite from split. I just select my two new datums that I just split. You can see now that's only two options up here, so I can only split it or merge and do a shared reshape. Again, it will just ask me for the attributes of the new merged datum. Click on merge. That's it. So again, quite simple operations work and quite easy to use. And then say, okay, I can end date my datum now that I merged it. So I got now my new my datum, and I do a recalibrate. Recalibrate means just changing the length, the logical length of the section. Again, just to note again that the units of that are user definable and define the metadata. Okay, and I want to maintain history, which means that it will just end date and create a new one. And finally, just to finish it off, I can end date that datum. Click end date. Okay, it will ask me for the effective date, and the date will disappear, and just end date the node as well. Okay, and we're back to where we started. Okay, so that was a quick example of a quick workflow of how you edit your network. So what about routes in managing, what we call linear and non-linear groups? Okay, non-linear linear groups are the routes. Okay. Again, it's a very similar workflow. So I just selected a layer. This time I selected a route, selecting the highways linear group. Okay. Again, I click. You can see now that the options are quite different. I'm now calling the attribute form. You can see that I've got my attributes and the members, the datums that make up this route. Okay, and if I want to add the member, let's say that I want to extend the route, all I have to do is go and select. I'm selecting 3 elements. You can see the which ones I want. Select 3 of them. I only want 2. Okay, and then add them as members. This is your your add members, or if you like extending your route. Okay, and you can see the members are here. And I've got all different, attributes. I can say the member length, all that. Now, I need to rescale that because I just added the 3 new members, so that needs to rescale. I'm getting a message that says that I cannot maintain history because I've done all the edits on the same day. But once I do that, you can see that the shape that the new route has been created. Okay, so just zooming out to see the whole route. Now, what about managing routes with gaps? So this is I'm sure quite a lot of you have gone through that problem. Just show you quickly how we can do that now. So I'm creating a new group, and I'll create I'll create a group with that has a gap. So as before, I just create the group. I'll put the attributes in. Again, they're all just user definable. And I'll just click on the save tool. That will just create an empty group or an empty route. So I'll go and add members again like I did before. So click on the plus icon, just minimize that. So I'll select the first one. Okay, this is my datum that I selected. Now to add as a member to my route. All right, I'll do that again. Let's do it one at a time this time. Right, and I select this one. Okay. And you notice that this does have a big gap in between. Okay. So this is what we call a distance break. Right. So I want now to create that distance break because I want my route to be continuous. Okay. So I'll select one of my routes where I want to add the distance break and select the add distance break option, and you can see that it detected the nodes that I want to select to create a distance break in between, and I can add the length on that. All right, it can be 0 or it can be however I want the length to be. Click on the add icon. This will add it as another member, so this is like a virtual datum if you like. Okay, I'll do a rescale again just to make sure I've got it all correct. Get the same message because I did all the edits today. Okay, now if I do the route check, it says that my route is satisfied, the structure is satisfactory. Okay, and then just stop editing, and you will see that new route, which is perfectly valid, okay, and has a distance break. Okay, circular routes, that's another thing that we can easily handle within ALIM LRS. So this is just a simple example. I've got my public my public footpath, which is just, think of it as like jogging routes. Okay, so this is my datum, and again another datum. I want to reshape that. Okay, that datum. Okay, like we did before. That's a simple example. Let's just move one vertex just to put it straight. Click on reshape. That's all fine and good. But when I go and see the routes that actually depend on this, the routes that are depending on this datum, my public footpath route, you can see that's still got the old geometry. Okay, so I need to rescale that. Okay, so I need to edit that first. That layer. You can see that download this vector data. Click on the get the radial menu up, get the attributes up, and then if I go to the actions, you can see I can do a rescale. And because it's a circular route, it will ask me, where do you want, what's the start datum that you need to rescale from. So I need to select that, click on OK, and that's it. So as simple as that. It's like your normal rescale, and all you need to do, and you can see now that the new geometry has been created. So it's as simple as that, and all you need to do is just define this, what's where the route starts from.
Okay, thanks very much, Pano. So that's just some of the network editing capabilities, and obviously if anybody's interested, we're happy to give more in-depth demonstrations and presentations of all of those capabilities. One of the things that I just want to point out that's important aspect that wasn't visible in those videos is that as Pano was doing the network editing, all of the associated business information was being updated instantly. So as he did those realignments, as he did the splits, the merges, all of the relevant assets and events along the network, all of their information is being updated instantly. We don't have to wait until nighttime to do a batch process or anything like that. So the data is maintained accurately throughout the process. So that's the network editing capabilities, and as we've talked about, there's also the business capabilities. So we have a number of business tools available in the solution. One of those, I think, Paul, are you available to talk about the TIG and HPMF?
Yes, I am. If it gets too loud here, just mute me and you can take over. Okay. But yeah, so we have a tool called the Transportation Intelligence Gateway that's been out on the market for 4 or 5 years now, or actually I think 3 or 4 years. It was designed to handle the extraction, transformation, and loading of data from the XOR system, specifically, or I should say initially for HPMS, though once we implemented it in our client sites, they immediately started using this for a whole host of other reasons. The state of Oregon uses the TIG for over 100 different extracts. And so what it gives our users is the ability to do fairly complex data extractions or data analysis without having to involve data analysis experts, without having to involve IT folks. And so it really does simplify the process to make it much easier and much cheaper. And so the Transportation Intelligence Gateway allows you to extract, or allows you to analyze attributes of any of the assets or group types, like towns and counties, any of the objects that are stored within the XOR system. It also has extensibility capabilities that allow you to pull attribution from any other data set. And so long as that data set has linear referencing information in it, and is accessible from an Oracle environment. So long as those two criteria are met, you can include that data in your analysis as if it were stored locally within the Bentley system. So the types of capabilities that it gives you in the transformation or the data assembly process are all the normal things that one would expect from a business intelligence tool, only it's specifically transportation related. Things like pulling out straight attributes, applying formulas, doing sum and min and max and count, as well as some more transportation specific things like length weighted average and most common value over a range, things that are essential for HPMS. So it does all those natively. You can then also extend the application to include any of your homegrown custom functions or any of the Oracle analytic or aggregate functions as well. All right, so you have the base functionality, which relies on the Bentley system, and you can extend it to include any data set and any type of functionality. You also have the ability to extend it to create within the Transportation Intelligence Gateway environment your own root system. And so if you have data that's stored externally and all you have is a XY, you can add a root mile point conversion process to that to make it more in line, make the data more accessible or more placeable on your existing LRS system. This application, by the way, does, as Russell was saying early on, focuses on the business analysis portion of the job at hand. It also very easily incorporates spatial data. It's a click of a button to then produce maps of your results. So in Oregon, again, they produced a fantastic video called the HMS Easy Button, which was referred to in the title of the previous slide. But what they were able to do with the Transportation Intelligence Gateway is greatly improve their the performance and the productivity of their HPMS generation process. So they were able to reduce the time by at least 1/3. And why that's valuable is because now they can spend a lot of time on the high value activities that a DOT engages in, like data analysis and data review and data correction, and a whole lot less time on things that don't produce a lot of value, like data assembly. And so the type of cooperation that they need from other groups to succeed drops, although the data sharing greatly increases. So again, they use this for their HPMS system. It's all in one extract, and in their HPMS system, they can run any one data item without having to run the whole entire extract. They can also use the effective date functionality within the TIG that allows them to run their HPMS system as of a specific date. So they don't have to shut down their operations or the network editing or asset editing operations to produce HPMS. So we have, like Russell was saying, we have ALIM users all across the world. This tool is also used for the HDM4 World Bank reporting, which is just as complicated and complex as HPMS. And it's used in Europe, Asia Pacific, India, as well as here in North America. Again, if, as Russell said, if you would like to see a demonstration, we're happy to come in and demo this for you. Spatial Network Loader. Would you like me to jump in on this one, Russell?
Yes, please, Paul.
Okay. All right. So the Spatial Network Loader, we actually have renamed it. It's now the Spatial Data Loader because it will go ahead and incorporate network data and asset data eventually. So what it is an extension of the mapping interface that Pano showed you. And what it's used for is to incorporate local road data or other external data sources in your state network. So if you're a state DOT and you maintain all your state roads, but your local roads are maintained by a local agency, then what you can do with the Spatial Network Loader is you can set up a process by which the local agencies supply you with their data, and the Spatial Network Loader will take it, validate it, and then stitch it into your state network. This system is profile-based, and the profiles allow you to set up roles that dictate who can do what to the loading process. And by that, I mean, if you have a trusted local agency, folks who are actually quite good at what they, at cleaning up their own data, then you can give them the rights to take over as much of that loading process or as little of that loading process as you decide. And so it's essentially a three-step process. First is to acquire the remote data set. The second is to load it into a holding area with validations, where a bunch of validations are processed. And then the third step is to then take that data out of the holding area and put it into the production system. And so a profile will control the extent to which a local user has rights to perform those functions. And so you can have a local user who has the ability just to present the data and run initial validations to make sure field names are correct. Or you can extend that to allow them the ability to do all of the in-house validations that you've set up to make sure that the data is going to meet your standards and make sure the geometry is realistic. So you can set thresholds for different validation processes. Ultimately, when the data gets loaded into your system, it would be rare for someone at a state DOT to give that ability to someone else, but you have that option if you want. Typically, that's a function reserved for someone internal. And so we have a change detection system in this environment that allows you to load data sets from a local community over and over again and only load changes. It also has extensive reporting where you can get activity summaries that show you what type of activity has been performed. Also, what it'll allow you to do when you load data in, you could redline it. You could see that data that's about to be loaded against a backdrop of the data in your production system. And then you can get a list of all of the changes between the two, as you see on the screen here on the left-hand side. And you'll get a list of all of those changes, their content. You can examine them. You can display them on the map, and then you can approve or reject them. Any type of rejected data will get sent back to the originator of the data. So that's the spatial network loader. It's now called the spatial data loader, and that will, like I say, sit on top of the LRS system that Pano showed you earlier. Russell?
Okay, thanks, Paul. And then also then just to briefly talk, I mentioned Operationalities earlier. So these are this is the dashboard capabilities that we have in AssetWise. And one of the things that we're now working towards is the information that comes out of the Transportation Intelligence Gateway, that linear type analysis. So using the Operationalities capabilities, being able to start putting that into these types of bar graphs and charts and displaying that alongside maps. So these are capabilities that are going to be available by the end of this year, added onto the Transportation Intelligence Gateway that Paul just mentioned. So we've talked about the network editing and showing you demos, and we've talked about some of the business capabilities or the business tools that sit on top of there. One of the things that we wanted to also do in this tech talk is just to give you some indication of how this fits in with the AssetWise lifecycle capabilities that we're also providing. So in this next video, what I want to do is just show you how the inspection capabilities of AssetWise ALIM are being integrated now with context capture so that we can start doing some of the reality modeling capabilities. So in this case here, this is AssetWise. This is the main dashboard, and we have a search capability. So in this case here, I want to go and search for a bridge. So I search for Waterloo Bridge. And now I've selected Waterloo Bridge, what I can do is I can look at the activities that are scheduled against there. So in this case, activities may be things like appraisals, maintenance inspections, and so on. I can search those, sort those by due dates here. And then what I can do now is I can say, well, I'm only interested in the maintenance inspections. So once I look at the maintenance inspections, these are all the inspections that are either due or have been completed against this bridge. I can select any one of those, and so we can see here, here's the inspection with the information, and it's due with its due date on here. So one of the things we want to show now is that we can schedule that out for an inspector to go and perform the inspection. So interfacing this with things like context capture, we can send an inspector out, and simply by taking photographs of any defects that they find, they can then process those, and they can create a 3D model of that failure. So once you can see here, so just by taking those photos out on site, they've managed to create this 3D model of the crack. So what this can then happen is that this can be uploaded to the cloud, and once it's uploaded to the cloud, it's then available for the engineer back in the office to be able to view that information and make some operational decisions. So if we now look at those inspection results, taking a look at that bridge back in AssetWise, here's all of the defects that have been found against that bridge, some against the bridge itself, some against the spans, and the date that those were found. And if we actually select a single one of these, we can look at the records management. So these are maybe all the design drawings or the information. So in this case here, the first one is actually the model of the defect that was found. The engineer can view this in sight and make decisions. So what we're trying to do here is optimize usage of engineers, being able to go and collect that information out on site through an inspection process, and improving the decision support capabilities provided through AssetWise ALIM. So that's just one integration with some of the reality modeling that we're doing. The other aspect is from conception to operations. So really what I just wanted to refer to here is, so this is concept station. So the idea of concept station is that you can build up your conceptual models. If you have a new intersection that you know that you want to construct, or you may want to construct, using information, existing information, you can build up what that conceptual model may look like. So at the moment, Concept Station enables you to pull this information in from your GIS systems, and one of the things that's being added into this now is the ability to be able to import information from your AssetWise ALIM road network and asset registry. So being able to take GIS information and business information so that we can then start doing these conceptual models, supporting you in that process as you go through. So the important thing here is not just the reality modeling, it's being able to make that business data that you're holding in AssetWise much more valuable to you to be able to do these types of capabilities. And then finally, one of the things we want to talk about today is the as-built to operations. So this is the ability to actually be able to take the as-built information and being able to then put that into your operational aspects. So one of the things we're going to show you today, Pano's going to take you through this video and show you how we can do a copy trace from an as-built information. And one of the things that we're now doing is looking at automating this process of being able to take project-wise or as-built information from DGN drawings and being able to take that information and create update your asset information and your road centerline network automatically from that information. So Pano, I'll pass this over to you.
Okay, thanks Russell again. Right, so the idea here is that we got a new center line that has been provided to us and made available to AWLRS. Okay, that's the center line from the Asbuilt. Okay, and this is to say, a new airport access road. Okay, so what we want to do is zoom in, and we can again, the start editing. I'll select my datum, and what I want to do now is I'll edit the layer, my datum layer. Click on Start Editing, and this time instead of creating the new datum just by digitizing, I want to trace it. Okay, so I'll trace it against that new Asbuilt. Okay, and you can see that I've got trace layer, so that's my drawing there. You see it becomes in red, and I can then start tracing on top of that. Okay, I'll just do it slowly, and then you basically, and you can select any kind. It can be a shaped file, it can be a DGN layer, it can be any vector data, and you just trace it along that, and you double click. As per usual, as you would create a new datum element, as before, you just add the attributes, add the attribution in there, and then just save it. I think we need to put the just put the description. Okay, now the travel direction, and then click on save. Okay, you can see that little message that appeared, and then just finish editing, and my new datum, just been created. And over here on top of that, I can add it to a route, and so on, like I showed you before. I think that's it for me. Back to you, Russell.
Thanks, Pat. And so just from closing thoughts and some of the capabilities we've shown you. So we've obviously talked about the road network and some of the integration with some of the reality modeling. And I think this is one of the unique differentiators of Bentley is that we have these tools and we're bringing all of these tools together. So just from a closing point, sort of some of the future capabilities that we're able to offer, and some of the things that we're working on today is that I just obviously with the reality modeling, being able to go out and collect the data from a number of different sources, whether that's from fixed airplanes, photographs, whether it's drones that we're actually using that information from. So we can now go out and collect this information, and we can put this into a format that makes it much easier to start being able to access this type of information alongside your business data. So just from the point of view of this, so this is just an example of how simple this is, that we can send a drone out. The drone is programmed to fly over a certain course to get all of the relevant information that it needs. In this case here, here's the route that the drone took. And so this is a survey that we actually did with this drone. And then using the information, we're able to create that reality mesh, laying that over the GIS information as well. And then we're able to create these type of reality models. So these are the capabilities. I think this is the next generation, really, from a GIS perspective of having these types of reality models as we go through the process. And then this really is then food for thought. So these are capabilities that we're now working on. So in what Pano showed you from those capabilities, but putting this now into a complete 3D reality world. So in this case here, we can span about, we can select a bridge. And simply by selecting that bridge, AssetWise is able to tell us all of the information that relates to that bridge. So we have all the inspection and the attribute information that relates to there. We can also go through here, we can look at load assessment information, all the relevant information that we want to against this type of information. So this is taking the AssetWise or the asset lifecycle information management and now putting it into a 3D world that we can look at it. And on this dashboard now, we can start doing searches for bridges that are in certain conditions, being able to display those, and with certain types of level of service. So this type of dashboard is the capabilities that we're now working on, the next generation of being able to display your business data in this type of format. And this will just show us in the 3D concept as well of this bridge. So I think these are the differentiators. This is an important thing that Bentley is bringing all of our tools together to provide these types of capabilities. So with that, that's the presentation we wanted to give today. Hopefully we've given you enough information about the linear network management capabilities.